Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our wonderful church. My apologies to everybody, wherever you may be. I'm already halfway through my sermon. So I invite you to read Matthew 9:18 and follow, which we have already done. My deepest apologies. But we're talking about, again, this Jesus is on his way. He is on his way to see this woman who has died. And on the way, this woman, and she's been suffering, she's been bleeding for 12 years. Okay, and so everybody knew her. Everybody knew what her problem was. And you got to remind ourselves that this woman was not allowed to go to church. Could you imagine coming here and having somebody stand at the door saying, look, we know what your problems are and you're not allowed to be here. Come back another time and we'll see how you're doing. But this has been 12 years long and she was not allowed to. So, not allowed to go to church. What are the chances I have of going into the very presence of God? Not looking good. Not looking good at all. And after 12 years, it's looking like I'm going to be defiled in the eyes of all these people that are trying to protect Jesus from me. What am I going to do? But somehow she sees in Jesus the presence of God in a way that she had never, ever seen before. And so she has to sneak through the people that would stop her. Because they're the scorekeepers. They're the ones that think they know who is good enough. And I always imagine all these people bumping, all this crowd pressing in on Jesus. And he doesn't notice them, but he notices one woman who reaches up and touches that tassel on his prayer shawl. And he says what to her? Your faith. Not my faith, but your faith. But I only have enough faith to reach out and touch the hem of your garment. That's all you need. Wait a minute, that's all I need? The tiniest little touch? I'm thinking maybe I need to go to church a whole lot more, or I need to read the Bible a whole lot more, or I need to do this or that, and all the things that people tell me I need to do before I can receive your acceptance and your love. If you have that much, I said, I can work with that. I'll be thrilled to work with that. And you'll be the one that will understand something about my love that these people don't. And she's made whole because of what little faith she brought to that day. So they're going to see this daughter, and of course they show up, and the funeral is essentially already begun. And he says, I don't think you all understand what's going on here. And what is their response? They laugh. How would you like to be remembered as somebody who laughed at Jesus? I'm not sure I would want to be that person. Jesus, we hear you're a really nice guy, but you don't really understand what's going on here. She is gone. And so the first thing he does then is, let's invite the people that don't get it to step aside. And allow those of us that understand what God is capable of doing to come in here. And what does he do? The one thing you would never do to a dead body. He touches her. He touches her, and her life is restored. And she gets up, takes her by the hand, she gets up, and of course the report of this goes on around and around. Who am I in this story? Am I one of the very few that get it? Or am I one of the ones that understand how religion is supposed to work and how church is supposed to be? To the point where I could tell you, okay, we'll welcome that person, but that one, no, I'm not so sure. I don't like the way you look. I don't like the way you smell. I don't like whatever. Or am I one of the very few that gets it? When I was talking with some of my friends the other day, we were talking about, the other day, we got a new year coming, and we were talking about what we hope to be doing this coming year, what special plans you might be having. And I think a couple of people had really big trips they wanted to take, and a couple other things. And they looked at me, and I said, my plan is to be married by the end of next year. You heard me say this? I do this every once in a while. My plan is to be married by the end of next year. And they all looked at me and they said, really? I go, you better believe it. I got all my plans in place. I hope to be married before the next year is out. There's only one little problem. And they said, what's that? I said, well, I don't have any prospect right now. But if I find a good prospect, I got all my plans in place. They're kind of used to this. So they kind of, yeah, whatever. And it made me stop and think, okay, what are my plans for this coming year? Of all the things that I like to do, maybe accomplish or possess or whatever it might be, lots of wonderful things. How about asking God to give me a perception of his redeeming love in this world like I have never had before? But I've read the Bible from beginning to end, except for the genealogy. Skip over those. I've read it more than once, and I talk to people about it. Maybe this coming new year, I would have a perception of the extent of God's love that I have never had before. And that people that I would say are gone, maybe I won't give up on them it makes me think about, how many people have you ever met that were so amazingly transformed that they became a new person? And my fear is that we grow up in nice homes and nice communities and we don't see this kind of transformation. I didn't really begin to see it on a regular basis until I worked in the prisons and met some of the most amazing people in my life. Just amazing stories of transformation. I was thinking when I was a child, we'd have guest preachers come in and they'd have amazing stories, but I never really believed them. I thought, they're dressing these stories up really good. Yeah, maybe they're true, who knows. But to actually know somebody and to see lives transform like that might be something that I would really, really want to do. And maybe this coming year, I would start looking for the defective people. The people that are broken, that are incomplete, that are messed up. So messed up they don't know what their problem is anymore. Don't even know where to start. But maybe this year I would start looking for these people. It might be that they are in my life all along, but I never recognized it because we play the games too well. We come here and I want everybody to think that everything is okay and fine and dandy, but we all struggle with. I was thinking, and everybody's excited. I saw, I didn't know about this, but they're showing on the news, people, they have these burning ceremonies, New Year's. You take a calendar from last year and you burn it in a way to say good riddance to that last year. And I found, and they were showing people they were very pleased to say goodbye to the last year because so many horrible things happened, so on and so forth. But I find myself thinking, when did we not feel that way at New Year's? Now, I've been around long enough to remember what life was like 9/11, going back into the 90s, the 80s, the 70s. Growing up in the 60s, I thought I was going to see the end of the world. Literally the world that I knew outside Washington, D.C., you could see it burning. You go back to World War II, you go back to World War I, you go back to the Civil War, you go back, and any brief study of history will show you, when was there a time when the world was just a lovely place? So I'm to the point now where I go, I'm not hoping for things to go back the way they ever were, but we need a vision of God's love that we have never seen before, ever. And maybe we need to appreciate the struggles that people have always had and are going to have this coming year, but maybe with a new vision of what happens. So here's the little quiz. Who is it that was raised from the dead? Who was it that was raised from the dead in this story?
The big shot's daughter.
The big shot's daughter, that's how I was taught. That's the B+ answer. He's correct. She was raised from the dead. But that's not the A+ answer.
The one where the sisters had him come in to raise the brother.
What happened in this story right here? Notice how Matthew tells the story. He starts to talk about this synagogue leader whose daughter had died, and right in the middle of the story, what does he do? Oh, by the way, there's this woman who is defiled, unacceptable, and she touches him. What does he call her? Remember what Jesus called her? He called her daughter. Now you might miss that. Matthew's telling us that for a reason. Where is Jesus going? He's going to restore a daughter. And he stops when he feels that contact and he says, "Daughter, your faith has made you well." And then he continues on the journey. Why does Matthew take that story and pokes it right in the middle? Could it be that if I don't just take isolated parts of the Bible, but if I start reading through slowly and meditate on it, one story helps me understand another story? Who was it that was really raised from the dead? Yes, obviously, the leader's daughter. But she was raised from the dead, the woman that was defiled. And in the same way, by the touch of Jesus, the slightest little touch, and it's immediate, and a tiny little faith. Now, for the daughter, the father's faith was pretty important there. But could it be that if I can step back and I can see this story the way Matthew is presenting it, that if I stop and think, who was it that was really raised from the dead? Matthew is trying to get us to see that we have the ability, the Jesus-given ability, to reach out to people in this world that are already dead. And we can restore life that they have never, ever known before. That's kind of my prayer for this new year. That I won't let the world decide for me what death and life looks like, or restoration or redemption. But I'm going to ask God to give me a new vision that will bring me closer to seeing what Jesus could see in the people that he knew. Who was it that was really raised from the dead? Heavenly Father, we ask for your help all the time. Sometimes we mean it. But maybe what we need is desire from you to be able to see the world, to see the people in it the way that you do, even to see ourselves in all of our struggles, all of the challenges that we face, the opportunity to choose life over death. I pray that you would give us the desire more than we've ever had before to share this precious gift with this world. In Jesus' wonderful name, amen. Let's sing a song as we finish this morning. Somebody have a song they'd like to sing while I say goodbye to everybody. I apologize for the rough beginning of the recording, but I pray you'll have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Bye.